Hi, everyone, and welcome back to Neurodiverse Obsessed. I'm your host, John Arroyo. And boy, was NXT and TNA hype before Homecoming. And when I mean hype, I mean hype. We got returns of legends, icons. We had the OG Black and Gold. NXT and TNA got some craziness happening as well, so let's break it down. So we open up with Javon Evans complaining about Josh Briggs wanting to fight. Josh Briggs come out, a big brawl. Ava's like, you know what? You guys fight. The match was so good. Javon Evans, the board's bouncy. His athleticism in the air, the way he's aerodynamic, just some of the moves I can't even explain. That's how good it was. But at the end, Josh Briggs, like the monster he is, Mortal Kombat fatality punches the hell out of Evans, but with a chain. It's kind of stealing the win and still building up the rivalry, and I cannot wait. And then backstage, we had Oba and Ricky arguing. Ava says next week, Grayson Waller. Yes, Grayson Waller, the Waller effect. We'll be back on NXT next week for Homecoming. Trick comes in and Trick says, do you got that favorite act for Ava? Ava's like, yes. Ricky's like, this is not your business, I'm talking. And then Trick says, it's championship business. You wouldn't know. I love how they did a little teaser down the line of Trick and Ricky. I will love that match. I love how they kind of hinted at that maybe. And then in the ring, DIY is talking about how NXT is a building ground for a lot of people, how it's really important. Trick comes out mad. And Trick says, you think you're the only ones for history? And then we hear the music of the one and only him. Yes, NXT got him back. Carmelo Hayes. And it was a moment, guys. I was geeking out in my dorm. I was like so happy. I was like, so Melo comes out, but he's on DIY side. Yes, he tells Trick at first, like, respect the elders. They was the building ground. We did it better. And that's what it got it triggered. Because Melo said, yeah, they was a building ground, but we did it better. Johnny and Ciampa didn't like it. They got some clapbacks back and forth. A big brawl happens, and it's announced next week. DIY versus Trick and Melo. Guys, it's a generational tag team match. We get Black and Gold versus 2.0, and I am hyped. And then we got a speed first round match, and it was good. We had Fabi Apache from AAA, the Lucha Legend, versus Lady Reed. And I'm going to say this now. Lady Reed was the breakout star. Fabi Apache did good. She did her Lucha head scissors and her Paracrana flip on the outside. But Lady Reed does this killer, like, cannonball pin. Like, she kind of, like, kicks Bachi up and then rolls her. Then Bachi does the Bachi roll. Great back and forth. I love, like, the speed matches. I can't wait for the men's division to have the speed matches. But it's really showcasing women and men that don't get a chance. And I cannot wait to see the men's roster for it, like the bracket. But it's been really entertaining so far for the women. But at the end, Natalia causes Fabia the match, leading into their feud and towards Collide. And we have more tension, and I cannot wait. Then the glamour Blake Monroe is not glamour no more. She's serious. She's evil. She's the harlot. And she says it. She's like, sometimes glamour bleeds. Sometimes glamour is not pretty. And I have to show Jordan Grace the ugly side of glamour. Her in a bathtub with the red candles, red lights. Remember when Blake Monroe in AEW, when she attacked Toni Storm with the high heel? If we get something like that from Blake in the next couple weeks, like a crazy attack on Jordan, I can't wait. I think she's bringing like that sadistic diva harlot gimmick to NXT, and I cannot wait to see what Blake does. I'm happy that they made the glamour more serious, not like cartoony pop Sabrina Carpenter. We're getting more seductive, more aggressive, and I like that. Then we get a tag team match of Dirk State versus Hank and Tank. Really good back and forths. Hank and Tank has been really improving in the ring. Like, I'm saying it now, like Hank and Tank, when they first won the titles, I was mad, but I kind of see it. But the people who stole the show, I'm saying this, guys. Dark State is the faction that's going to grow and be breakout stars, because Lennox and Oasis, the way that they was doing some of these slams and drops, I was like, and I'm sorry, when Dark State do their multiple man attacks with Sugar, Lennox, Cutler, Oasis, like 1 out of, it's reminding me a little bit of the Shield, like or Nexus, just like the whole like multi-man attack, like it's crazy. But then out of nowhere, Joe Hendry like breaks from the arena, like he's the Kool-Aid man. Yes, Joe Hendry pulls a goddamn Kool-Aid man saying, "Oh yeah," like that doesn't distract Dark State. Dark Stater picks up the win, but it was funny, and hopefully maybe at No Mercy we get Hank and Tank, Joe Hendry versus with someone else versus Dark State, but really entertaining match. And then this was the match that actually surprised me. The flag match between Ethan Page and Travion Heights. Kind of stole the show. I know, like a stipulation match kind of stole in the show. Crazy. But it's really good. Heights did some crazy like crit angle slams and suplexes off the top rope. Ethan hits a killer like knee buckle, like neck breaker to Heights. I thought that was out, but Heights still won. My man Heights, he was able to pick up the win. He mocks Ethan, and then after he drops a Canadian flag. And when he walks out, we hear the OG fashion icon. You thought Ethan Page was cocky, he was diva, he was ego. No, we got the fashion icon, Tyler Breeze. Yes, Tyler Breeze is back in WWE, but he came back to NXT. He had the selfie stick from 2010. He had the fur coat. He was given life. It was given glamour. It was given fashion. It was given realistic baddie. I'm sorry, but Tyler Breeze was one of my favorite wrestlers in the OG NXT era, like Black and Gold. So seeing that version of Tyler Breeze, loved it, and I cannot wait. Next week is a match between Ethan Page and Tyler Breeze. Both egos going against each other. That's going to be epic, fun, and low-key iconic. Like the fashion, the gear, and like the attitude in the ring is going to be really good. Then we get a promo from Lola Vice talking about if she wins at No Mercy, what it means. She got interviewed with her sister and then some family, also her coach from MMA, and it's really good, and it makes it seem like Lola Vice is going to win. And I feel like it is, and I'm going to talk more about that in my predictions. Then we get the huge triple threat match. The Colons, Izzy and Tatum versus Jasmine Nix and Fallon Henley versus Sol Ruka and Zoria. And boy, was this crazy. Sol Ruka was flying. You know, Sol Ruka stole the show, but Fallon Henley had her moments, especially with that spinning kick off the ring post. Looked devastated. Nix was able to keep in the match a lot against Tatum. Like, they was able to go back and forth a lot and really, like, keep really good pins and roll-ups. Like, I love the dynamic of both women. Zoria and Izzy was just straight up power back then. Sol Ruka hits the Soul Snatcher on her tag team partner. Guys, how many times is Zoria gonna attack Soul and Soul is gonna attack Zoria? Most likely the tag team is breaking up soon. I think this is the final blow before Zoria snaps. And then after JC Jane complains and says Fatal Influence should have won, and she talked about how she was part of Toxic Attraction, and Fatal Influence talked about her rise of NXT, and she's the best woman because she was the first woman to hold TNA and NXT Women's Championships at the same time. La Primera, Stephanie Valkyrie comes out. I was kind of thinking that she was going to come out because it's like she wasn't on Raw. They're kind of teasing this big thing for Homecoming. That wasn't the big surprise for me. Like, I was like, okay, it makes sense that somebody's going to maybe confront JC. It's kind of going over time. Then Tiffany Stratton, I'm like, okay, yeah, that's good. But I did expect NXT OG from UK NXT, Rhea Ripley, showing up. I was like, and then each one of them says their history and how they're better than JC. La Primera says, well, I was the first South American Women's Champion. Rhea talks about how she helped build the women's evolution from NXT as well. And Tiffany says, well, you're NXT champion, not women's champion. WWE women's champion. Big brawl happens and it's announced as a 6-woman tag. So next week we got a 6-woman tag of both generations of NXT, a generational NXT tag team match. Ethan versus Tyler Breeze in a dream match. And maybe Blake Monroe is going to crash out next week, so I cannot wait. And now let's go to my future self to talk about TNA. Now on to TNA, and boy, was it crazy. So we start off with Moose versus AJ Francis, but Mustafa Ali comes to watch by ringside. So very interesting. The match was really good. Francis and Moose really had a Monster Ball style match. Ali was making some distractions on the outside for AJ Francis to get the upper hand, but Moose was able to win with a spear. After Moose tells Mustafa Ali that at Road to Victory, he wants to have a one-on-one match, and it's officially announced. So the first match announced for Road to Victory is Moose versus Mustafa Ali, and it's going to be a good one. Then we had the system backstage getting interviewed, and they made it clear that they're going to take down Order 4. Order 4 got some payback. They took out JDC, Moose, Tandil, and Ali. They would do what they need to do, but tonight they have to deal with the Nemeths. And then we got the Rascals, but not just Reed and Zachary. Miguel is back, so all the Rascals are back. They're talking about their match later in the night, the Fatal 4-Way match. The winner will face Leon Slater for the X Division Championship at Victory Road, but they have to face Jake something, and they're all kind of like arguing and debuttling, but that's going to be played along into the match later on. And then we got an interesting match with Joe Hendry and Eric Young. Eric Young comes halfway through saying that he is done with Joe Hendry. He's going to show him what happened. But instead, Trevion Williams, one of Eric Young's guys, takes his place in the match. The other guy tried to get involved, but Henry overpowered them with the numbers game after. Eric Young crashes out and beats both of his men, so pretty much the Northern Army is not a thing no more, and we have to see where this goes. Is Eric Young, instead of being the so-called cleanser of TNA, going to go more like psychotic? I just can't wait to see how that all plays out. Then backstage, we had Matt Cardona. He had a few words for Ryan Nemeth. He pretty much said, "You screwed me over last week and I'm coming back for payback." So we have to see how that all plays out. And then, guys, we had the weirdest segment. We haven't seen Victoria Crawford in a couple weeks. I guess instead of this whole like best friend of Tessa, her new gimmick is she's a motivational podcast speaker. Yeah, Victoria Crawford is now a motivational podcast speaker. She was given very NPR, very like, she dressed in a really nice dress suit. She was given like very like sophisticated talk where she had glasses. She was really like, really doing like this. Not like, "Hey guys, what da, 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 da." It was more like, "So welcome to my show." Like very like 360 of usually what she does. She invites Gia Miller and she says, "How does it feel taking my best friend out of TNA without payment?" And Gia Miller's like, "Well, I am an interviewer and Tessa almost broke my skull in." And then Victoria's like, "Well, why you didn't do something?" And Gia's like, "She busted my face into the steel steps." And then it just gets crazier from there because Victoria Crawford starts crashing out. She says, "If you have a problem, deal with me." And then Jody Drett shows up. And Crawford says, "End of the show," and she leaves. She books it. One of the weirdest segments, I am kind of intrigued of this like podcast, like narrator gimmick. Like it's different. Like I never saw like that type of gimmick, I think, in like pro wrestling on television. I think it's going to be interesting. But at the same time, if they don't nail it right, it's going to come off as boring. But it's really interesting that they're taking this approach with this character gimmick. That led us into the Fatal 4-Way match with Zachary Wentz, Trey Miguel, Marlon Reed, and Jake Something. The winner gets a shot at the X Division Championship. And it was a really good match. I'm going to say this out. The Rascals is one of a kind, especially Trey Miguel and Reed. Zachary Wentz is really good. Like his spinal tap move is great. But the way that Miguel and Reed was fighting during this match, some of the spots that Mason Reed did was just like, I can't even explain it. If you saw the match with him and Zachary against the Hardys and how he did a cutter to the outside, like Reed is something else. But Jake Something pretty much demolished most men, but most of the storyline was Jake Something taking out one man, everyone breaking up the pin. And then at some point, all the Rascals needed to fight. But at the end, Reed became victorious, coming out the winner. So Leon will face Reed at Victory Road. And I'm really interested to see what happens. Because it's like they kind of had that segment earlier, like the Rascals are all joking around, but when does someone get mad because somebody's gonna go solo? Let's see how that all plays out. After the match, Frankie Kazarian goes up to Jake Septis and says, "Hey, you need a makeover. You need a redo. I can help you with that. I am the superstar Frankie Kazarian. Join me, and we can make Jake something into something. Maybe an alliance is brewing. I kind of like it. I can kind of see like this alliance kind of working." And then we got some goofy match. It was fun. I'm not saying it's bad, but it was like fun. We had Jesse McKay versus Header by Elegance. Header jumped Jesse early, but Jesse fought back hard, hitting a big boot and setting up for the Death Press release. But Header cheats to win with Maggie by the outside and the concierge. Santino comes out. He's like, "Cassie, if you really if you really have problems, so have a match against Cassie." So then after the commercial break, so literally this match was 2 matches in one segment, we get M by Elegance versus Cassie Lee. And it was good back and forth. M was playing aggressive. She was doing some pretty good, like, offensive. I didn't really see her as like a powerhouse. Now I kind of see a little bit more her moveset. But Cassie pulls off the one with the inspiration roll. So that also gets announced later that they're going to have a women's knockouts tag team title at Road for Victory as well, setting that up. And then we had Mike Santana come out. He was about to give a promo before his match at Bound for Glory. But I don't know where Trick Williams just jumps him. Trick Williams really whops him. It's a fight. They break it up. Tension is brewing. I cannot wait for that storyline to pop off. An event, the Nemeth versus the System. It was hot. Nick hung Myers on the ropes while Mike pulled him with a DDT. Nick hit a top rope elbow drop for a 2, but Eddie fired back with a blue thunder bomb and some sick offense. Ali brought the great hand to ringside, but Eddie wiped them out, having Nick capitalize off for the win. Post-match, the Nemeths announces, I guess, drops a bomb. Revoking their match against the Hardys for the tag team titles next week. Hopefully, that means we're going to get it. But pretty much, TNA was good. NXT is good. We have Homecoming and Road to Victory soon, so I cannot wait. And I'll see you guys next time.